We're starting off with the mildly uncomfy and working our way up to the absolutely insane. Strap in, it's about to get unpleasant. Number 10, the dunking stool. Well, the dunking stool was like the medieval equivalent of saying, go touch grass, but make it soggy. Popular in England and colonial America during the 16th to 18th centuries, this punishment was reserved for scolds, aka women who dared to have opinions. You'd be strapped to a chair and dunked into cold, filthy water over and over. It wasn't fatal, but it was humiliating and unhygienic. Imagine being publicly waterboarded by the village HOA. Number 9, the pillory. Think of the pillory as history's first social media roast, only this one involved actual rotten vegetables. Criminals were locked in wooden stocks in the town square during the 13th to 18th centuries, for hours or even days, while townsfolk threw everything from cabbages to literal shit at them. The worst part? If no one threw anything, you just stood there awkwardly like a human statue nobody tipped. Public humiliation, 10 out of 10. Sanitation, 0 out of 10. Crazy, right? Number 8, the Scold's Bridle. The Scold's Bridle. A delightful metal contraption used in 16th century Scotland and England to silence women deemed nagging or troublesome. Basically, it was a head cage with a tongue spike that stabbed you if you dared speak. It's like the patriarchy said, let's solve sexism with medieval BDSM gear. These things were so common, you could practically find them on sale at whatever hardware store before Home Depot. Number 7, rat torture. Now we're turning the nightmare dial up a notch. Rat torture was popular in 17th century Europe during the Dutch Revolt, and at the Tower of London. They'd strap you down, place a metal cage full of rats on your stomach, and heat the cage. With nowhere to go, the rats would burrow into you. It's like the Home Alone traps, but instead of burglars, you're the victim, and instead of paint cans, it's rats eating your insides. Number 6, the Judas Cradle. Nothing says, don't mess with the church, like being lowered onto a wooden pyramid. You know, bottom first. The Judas Cradle, popular in 16th century Italy and Spain, was a favourite of the Spanish Inquisition. To add insult to injury, they rarely cleaned the pyramid. Forget the pain. You were more likely to die from medieval tetanus. The Inquisition wasn't just brutal, it was gross. Number 5, the breaking wheel. This wasn't just a punishment, it was a medieval flex. They'd tie you to a giant wooden wheel in 14th to 18th century France and Germany, then smash your limbs one by one with a hammer. The French called it the Catherine wheel, which sounds fancy until you realise it's just a human-shaped meat grinder. If you survived the smashing, they'd leave you on display, like some kind of horrifying pinata. 0 stars. Number 4, Lingchi, or death by 1,000 cuts, was used in Imperial China from the 10th to the 20th century for crimes like treason. They'd slice off bits of your body, one piece at a time until you died, or wished you had. The whole thing was meant to last hours, and yes, it was as awful as it sounds. Honestly, I'd rather take 1,000 paper cuts and call it a day. Number 3, the Blood Eagle. The Vikings really said, why just kill someone when you can traumatise an entire village? The Blood Eagle, a punishment from the 9th century Viking era, was reserved for traitors. They'd carve open your back, crack your ribs, and pull out your lungs to look like wings. Historians aren't even sure this actually happened or if it's just Viking propaganda. Either way, it's horrifying, and let's admit it, creative. Number 2, the saw. On this one, you get hung upside down so the blood stays in your head, and you don't pass out too quickly. Then they saw you in half, slowly, from crotch to head. This gem of human cruelty popped up in Europe and Asia over various centuries, proving that humanity's imagination is both boundless and horrifying. The Saw movies, they've got nothing on this. Number 1, the Brazen Bull finally. The Brazen Bull from 6th century BCE. Ancient Greece takes the top spot. This giant, hollow bronze statue was where you'd be locked inside and then they'd light a fire under it. As you roasted alive, your screams would echo through pipes, sounding like a bull's roar. Invented by Perillos of Athens for the tyrant Phalaris, it was so horrific that Phalaris reportedly tested it on Perillos himself. Karma at its finest. And there you have it, proof that humanity's been unhinged since forever. Next time your boss is annoying, or you get a parking ticket, just remember, at least no one's shoving you into a bronze bull